Hey, did you know we're also on Spotify? You can listen to No Offsides on Spotify while you're busting out reps in the gym, driving to your next tournament, mowing the lawn to gain brownie points with your wife because you're always gone at tournaments, or while you're getting in some much needed shooting and stick handling practice. So if you're into multitasking, make sure to follow us on Spotify, where you can listen to all of our awesome content on the Spotify app. What's up, Rink Rats? It's Woody. I'm here to tell you that this week's episode is brought to you by Champion Hockey. If you're looking for quality wheels, sticks, bags, and apparel, then look no further. Champion Hockey has everything you need to look and play like a champion. Check out top-of-the-line Legacy Series sticks and wheels and upgrade your game without breaking the bank. Go to champion.hockey to purchase your gear now, and make sure to check out Champion on Instagram at Champion Hockey to stay updated with products and events. Champion Hockey. Look like a champion.
No offside.
Welcome back for another episode of No Offsides, where we talk roller hockey. I'm Dan Dean here with my partner Justin Wood.
What's up?
Our guest today has probably one of the most unique roller hockey tournaments in North America called Legends Draft. He's also a pro roller hockey coach. So I'd like to welcome George Brown.
What up, guys?
What's up, man? Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, anytime we can especially get someone here on the show with the resume that you do, we're honored.
I appreciate that, guys. I really do.
You left something off that list, though.
What?
You left off pretty epic voice.
Oh, that's right. He does do voice commentating. He does,
No, I'm talking about the singing, my bro.
Oh,
Well,
that
thank
too.
you,
Well, that
Thank
too.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, I was checking it out.
I try to do it all.
Hell yeah. Why not, right?
Exactly. If it makes me money, why not?
Hey,
Oh, now I like what you're talking about.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes when you're on the call, I think you overpower Trefty, and I don't think he likes it.
No, you know what? I try not to. I try my best not to. But sometimes when you know all the guys, and sometimes you want to just either throw jabs or make fun of the guys because you know you're gonna get it if you mess up. I don't mean to overpower, but so me and Trefty have that great relationship on those broadcasts where most of the time, most of the stuff we talk about we cannot put on air. So it's just great. Most of the time we are muted unless it's during play, and the stuff we talk about is pretty ridiculous. So Trefty's become one of my great friends, not just in the sport, but in life too. So it's been great to be able to broadcast with him, work with him. And so, yeah, we got a great working relationship.
I could say, I mean, the two of you together are fantastic to listen to.
Thank you.
So it's definitely enjoyable. You guys do it right. You have a much better voice than Justin and I. So, it all works out.
Much appreciated. But got to give yourself some credit here too, guys. Got to give yourself some credit here.
We're doing our best. We're doing our best.
I love it. A mighty good job you're doing.
Oh, appreciate it.
Appreciate it, bro.
Now, you're wearing the shirt, and you just got done with Legends Draft this weekend. So, I mean, let's jump into that. So, we had some people in our comment section on social media ask us kind of like where the idea of Legends Draft came from.
It's interesting because I originally thought, and this for as long as I can remember, when I stopped playing sports, and I can get into that later, I used to sit down and just jot down ideas. That's why I got into coaching. I would be in class in high school just jotting down roller hockey and ice hockey plays, because I couldn't play sports anymore because of my health. And I'll get into that later when I tell you guys how I started coaching. But I was actually, I think, at either TORHS or State Wars, and I'm like, there's got to be something with all these events when you have different winners. There's got to be some event that I can put together that will have one winner. Like, for example, there's a pro champion in TORHS, Narch, and State Wars. There's got to be an event that I can put together. And so it was a team concept at first. And then I'm like, no, there's too many team concepts out there. And so I was thinking about putting together a draft tournament for just pros. But, my thought process was before the recession when sponsors used to throw things out. You know what I mean? People would get free skates, free wheels, everything. And I'm like, okay, if I did a pro draft tournament then maybe I can get some sponsors to back it, because pros don't like to pay for anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to get sponsors to back this. And I'm like, you know what? After things got a little tight in the sport, I'm like, why do pros? I'll have the pros be captains, and I'll invite every adult I know. Started in Buffalo in 2017. It was the idea. And then I got a contract to move to Branson, Missouri to do a musical. So Chris Kendall, Jess Hackett, and Tim Turner ran it for me. And so I had the pros were the captains, and I limited it to like 25 registrants. We had 5 teams, and it ran for one day.
Okay.
And but the problem was the next year I came to it, I saw all these pro players and like tier 3 guys not playing for the last 8-9 minutes of the game. I'm like, all right, I have to fix this somehow. So I went to 2 tiers, opened up more registration, and it continued to sell out every time I would open up more adult spots. So I did tier 1, 2, and 3. It continued to sell out in Buffalo. And so then I went to Detroit to see if the thing would travel. I went to Fraser. It traveled, and it got even bigger. And then I got yelled at by one of the dads there who was watching his son play in adult. He's like, why don't you do this for the kids? And it was like one of those light bulb moments.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hell, I don't know, but you best believe I'm going to now.
Yeah.
And opened it up as an invite tournament only, because it was going to be just higher level, because I didn't have the time, because I was doing it on a weekend in June. Invited kids. It was probably about 40% of the kids I invited came. And so then I'm like, I opened it up to the kids that didn't get invited as wild card spots. It sold out. And I'm like, you know what? This is the way to do it. So I moved it to Memorial Day weekend, because if we all know, Memorial Day weekend used to be the biggest NARTS tournament, NARTS regional anybody has ever gone to at Dumars. So no one was running anything, and Dumars had closed, and no one was running anything anymore on Memorial Day weekend. So I'm like, I need that 4th day as it got bigger and bigger. And so from 5 teams in 2017, this year we had, because we don't put more than 8 guys on a team. This year we had about 56. So it was pretty dope. The growth has been great, but yeah, it was just a random idea that I never thought would leave Buffalo. Never thought would be more than 5 to 7 teams, and now it is what it is now.
That's awesome. And I grew up playing at that Fraser rink.
Yeah.
So knowing that you guys put down tile on there, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, they treat us very well at Fraser. Working with Bud Kowalski, Mike Frednelli over there, and just the Detroit base of people, being able to work with them has been great. Fraser's been great to us. Kalamazoo was great to us last year. But it's truly an event center there, and there's not a lot to do in Kalamazoo. But the rink was packed all the time because of the fact that everybody was just rink ratting it all day. In Michigan, the rink was packed, but there's more to do. So it's one of those decisions you got to make when you go places. You want to have more things for people to do too, but Wings Event Center is a beautiful spot. So
yeah, and you just finished up weekend, right?
Yeah,
and it was adults.
Yeah, so we did kids and adults, all of it. So
Okay.
We did Friday our eval skates. We used to start the eval skates at 8:00 for adults, and now we start them at 2:30 p.m. for kids. We have eval skates throughout the night. It goes from 2:30 p.m. through midnight. Those are the eval skates. The draft ended about 1 a.m. And then all of the rosters are put into our website, and everybody ends on Monday. There wasn't a division that didn't end on Monday, except for 10s. What I did there, because I don't have a lot of room, so I had 14 10-year-olds and 2 goalies, made 2 teams. And I took pride this year, and I didn't let coaches draft. I built the 2 teams.
Okay.
Because I wanted 2 of the younger kids that wanted to coach. I let Jordan Weems and Braylon Green, who were 2 16U players, I let them coach the teams.
Okay.
So I chose the teams so they wouldn't have to make the evaluations and all that. And then I assigned them a team. Did a best of 5 series. First 2 games both went into a shootout.
Sweet.
And so game 3, because it was a deciding game, we went to overtime. And we decided to do overtime. We went to overtime, but forced a game 4. And game 4 was decided with about 40 seconds left, or we would have had to have a game 5. And so it was something to see those 10-year-olds playing like NHL style
Yeah.
series, and the coaches, even as young as they are, learning the tendencies of different players and the other coach because they're playing them 4 to 5 times in a tournament. So if there was one highlight, it would probably be my 10U division for that tournament. And they all play Friday through Monday. Games are Saturday through Monday. The evals are Friday.
Yeah, and it's sweet too because it's on my bucket list. I can tell you that.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I've been watching it. I've been seeing the dates, seeing where you go, and honestly, I might be attending your Eastern one this year at the end of the year. So
I love to hear it.
Yeah, it's so unique to me because I'm like, not only do you sign up and you just go to an eval, which is unheard of because most people put their own team in, right?
Yeah.
But then you get drafted with a bunch of guys you never play with, so everyone's at a disadvantage. And of course, captains probably know some guys, but you get a jersey that is new and different every time that you hold a tournament.
Yeah.
And you get pants, and I'm like, well, shit, this is awesome.
And our pricing, to be honest with you, and listen, anybody in business is in business because they want to make money. But the one thing I've learned throughout this experience is, and also, it's another tournament series in the summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one thing I don't want to do, I've never been that cutthroat guy, just never been that guy to make it more difficult on other tournament series. Yeah. So before I even made my dates, I contacted my bosses at TORHS. I contacted Darren at Narch and Timmy with State Wars, because what I didn't want to do is step on toes. And I also didn't want to make it too expensive where it prices some families out who want to go to those events and have teams that they have to be loyal to in those events already. So the pricing, from the time we made the kids event, I think it's gone up maybe $10.
Okay.
But I try to keep it as doable as possible for families who may have to go to 4 events from my event till the end of July, so mm-hmm. I try my best to keep it affordable for the families, which at the same time also improving the event every year.
That's huge.
Yeah. And it seems like you now go to what, Irvine, you go to Corona, you go to it's been so many different names because that's where I grew up.
Right.
So it's now
used to be Highline, it's now Great American Center.
Yeah, right? Good Sports, Highline, Great American Sports, Tab Ramos.
I remember it as Tab Ramos, right? Yeah. Right, exactly.
So when I grew up, when I was younger, it was Good Sports, but there was 2 Good Sports in New Jersey, and it was like Good Sports Aberdeen or Good Sports whatever, right? And so people always got confused.
And Chris Ghosh runs that rink now, and he worked at TORHS before I did. I met him when he was working at TORHS when they came to Buffalo with a regional, and he was and James Sazamenu, who was in Jersey, he worked there too. And I remember a dude named Hal and James kind of founded me when I first score kept a tournament in Buffalo, and I was announcing the tournament too. And that's how I got into the whole announcing thing and working for TORHS. It was James Sazamenu and Hal actually asked me to come to nationals when Tony TORHS still owned TORHS. Okay. And that's how I got into the TORHS thing. In 99, I did that, started working for them in 01, became the national director in John Gelman hired me as a tournament director, and he's out of Detroit. And then after that, John left to work full-time at Dumars, and I became their national director. So the rest is history.
Hey.
Man, I miss Dumars.
All right, and if you love this show, then you will also love the College Roller Foundation. The College Roller Foundation is a volunteer-run, tax-exempt 501c3 nonprofit organization that exists solely to raise and distribute funds to deserving college roller hockey student athletes in the form of scholarships. The College Roller Foundation isn't a tournament series, league, championship, governing body, or sanctioning agency, but rather works with partners to host events to raise and distribute all those dollar bills to roller players who also like to get their academia on. By raising money through donations and divvying out these scholarships to the players, the College Roller Foundation seeks to grow the game of roller in college. And if you're interested in finding more info, helping out, or donating, please visit www.collegerollerfoundation.com and make sure to follow them on Instagram at College Roller Foundation. College Roller Foundation, growing the roller game one scholarship at a time. It's time to join a revolution in roller with US Roller Cup, a premier roller hockey tournament series. The US Roller Cup is led by a passion for the sport. US Roller Cup is driven to create an unparalleled experience for players, fans, and coaches alike. With a focus on promoting roller hockey at all levels from youth to professional, we are committed to growing the game and fostering a sense of community within the roller hockey world. To find out more information, find tournaments near you, or to sign up for an upcoming tournament, go to www.usrollercup.com and be sure to follow USRC on Instagram at US Roller Cup. US Roller Cup, a revolution in roller.
Yeah, DiMaggio's was so great. Not just the hockey, but the pizza dunkers they had in the restaurant. Oh, wow.
Well, and going into your Eastern one in December, they're gonna have still mat now.
Yeah, they're gonna have still mat, and Gosha just let me know that when I was there for the TORHS regional. So it's a huge thing. Still mat floors are great. I know I'll probably have to invest in some still mat pucks for that event, which is that's a little bit more on the pockets, but you do it for the love of the game and so the game's better, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you travel around, I mean, because you're at several different rinks now that you've expanded a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we will
now
we're at, for myself, for Legends, we'll do 3 different rinks, which again, never thought I'd do a winter event for Legends. Thought it was going to be one event, but supply and demand. So
yeah, I guess I mean, listen, it honestly falls down on your time, right? So it's like whenever you have time. I mean, you're doing 2 tournaments a year. That's great because it's technically before, the big 3 have their tournaments, right? And then it's after, and when they're not doing much of anything, maybe some winter invitationals or something like that. But I mean, you put it in good spots so that it doesn't interfere with anyone.
That was the main point of it, just because I usually go to all those events, whether I'm coaching or announcing or whatever. I usually go to all those events, and I don't want to kill myself over that time. So, and I don't listen. It is a spot. Legends has become a spot where guys get to meet guys they might not have met ever in the sport, play with guys they might not have ever been able to play with. Then they can go back to their own teams, but it's a great situation where you can get a warm up. The pros definitely use it as a warm up, because it's not, the games are intense, the games are high level, but they're not going to be as intense as it is with your own team. Because I'm not going to have, for example, Okada isn't going out to take heads off when he's playing against Ross, Berry, and Hodge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that they're all teammates in the summer. Same thing when Halverson was at the event and you had the DiMartinos at the event as well. I mean, everybody knows that the summer is a different breed from Legends, and that's what I love about it, because of the fact that Legends is that tournament to get you going, to get ready for your teams in the summer. But it's so different that no one can say that they've played anything like that when you get to the big 3, because you're playing with a team that you're always going to play with and the guys that you know.
Yeah. I mean, is it true though? I mean, because PJ DiMartino says that doesn't matter who he's playing against, he's going to kill him.
Yeah, even if it's his little brother, probably.
Especially if it's his brother.
He said no mercy on the board. So
yeah, no, listen, I don't doubt that at all.
But you mentioned coaching, right? And so you just recently last year coming off PAMA Pro Invitational Championship with Car Shield, so that had to have felt great.
It was, honestly, you know what? It was probably one of the best feelings in the sport, because right now, and I think we all know that right now at this point, that as a pro title is the biggest pro title to win. Yeah. And when there's things you try to check off from your, like in anything that I do, any part of my career, whether it's musical theater and my acting career or whether it's my roller hockey career. There's a list of things you want to check off and get done before you leave that career or that sport or whatever it is. And of course, that was one of them. So I got to check off TORHS twice. I got to check off State Wars, going for the NARCH title, but unfortunately, and we can talk about this later, I won't be able to travel after sorry, I had a call coming in. My bad.
It's all good.
I won't be able to travel after June 25th because I took an acting contract.
Okay.
So I'll be at
That's
TORHS
cool.
for half the I'll be at TORHS for half the time, and then I will be leaving the sport for the summer. But my goal right now, listen, I love the sport. I love the sport. My goal is to be able to occasionally visit the sport, because as much as I love the sport, it's not my career, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
So my goal is to get to Broadway, and so I had to take. Sometimes you have to take opportunities where you're leaving the sport behind.
Yeah.
And so this year, that is just what's happening. But to get back to the Palmer Pro win, it was one of the most exciting things. I think, honestly, this is crazy to think, but even more exciting than the Palmer Pro win was two things: winning it the way we did with Stavi and net, and also the overtime win against Black Ice. That is, Jason Miro and I are great friends, and so we have this rivalry. If there's anybody that's going to beat me, I mean, I'm so happy for Jason Miro when he wins, other than beating me. But if there's anybody that is going to beat me, if it's Jason, I'm you know what I mean? I'm just happy for him. I don't have any, honestly, don't have any enemies in the sport. So I just, no matter what, I coach to win all the time, but I'm happy for anybody's success in the sport. I'm the type of guy that wants to see everybody win. So, and unfortunately, only one team can win at the end of the day. I just thank God that it was my team last year.
Hell yeah.
Well, you don't make enemies because they don't hear you when you're muted behind the mic, right?
That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
Well, you're talking about maybe leaving, setting yourself up for that. Over the time that you have been coaching, do you have like a Padawan or a student that you've been training to kind of fill your shoes?
You know what? I don't, but if there was one, it would have been Kyle Sipperly. I used to coach a group of kids out of Detroit, Michigan when I ran Excitement Hockey. That was the first organization I ever had. Ran Excitement Hockey at a group out of Michigan. And Colin Sipperly quickly became one of my best friends in the sport. And his younger brother, Kyle, took a huge interest in coaching. He actually stood behind the bench with Excitement in one of the last years I did Excitement before I did Rinkster and then Car Shield. And he's honestly, a great hockey mind. So he would be the one. If I was to ever have teams that I was putting together and I couldn't coach anymore, he is the guy. So if you know Kyle Sipperly, and I know they were doing a GoFundMe for him because he's got to have back surgery. He's actually, and I'm not putting too much out there, but he's had 2 brain surgeries now for a tumor. And so they're doing a GoFundMe. So I'll share that on my page too, if everybody's looking at it. But he's a great hockey mind. He's been in the sport forever. He's played forever. But sometimes health gets in the way and you can't play anymore. But that's what happened to me. But I know for him, it's been a struggle over the last few years. But if there's one mind or one pupil that I've had, man, it's Kyle Sipperly. It is that dude, because some kids hang on to every single word I've said, just because of the fact that, and let me be honest, sometimes it's a lot more fun to coach the kids than it is to coach the pros, and so, but if there was that one pupil, it'd be Kyle Sipperly.
Okay.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, and shoot us that GoFundMe. We'll throw it in the description and everything like that. We'll share that out as well. So.
I definitely will.
Now, there also was a comment that asked, like, what's the difference between coaching like a youth, like 18 or 21U team, and versus the pro team?
So
cussing.
Listen, well, no, I do it all on every bench. But to be honest, they are drastically different. When I'll be honest, I get more gratification out of coaching the youth because I feel that I am more useful in those games because of the fact that it is, you have to remind them every moment of the system you're playing, where they're supposed to be. You have to remind, you know what I mean? You have to hold them a lot more accountable. And, you know, you're coaching adolescents, or you're coaching not just hockey, but you're hoping to turn boys into men.
Yeah.
So it's never been just about the hockey for me. When it came to the kids sports, I am a lot harder on the kids than I am the pros. You know, the pros, it's one of those things that you're coaching players that have played at such a high level in the pro game. What are you going to teach them about the sport that they don't already know? So it's your job there to match up against the other team's best or worst players, depending on what matchup you're looking for. It's your job to just shoot reminders. You're not going to go up to a grown man and look at them and say, what the are you doing? You know what I mean? It's when I could talk to the kids like that, and you're not trying to be evil, but you're trying to make sure you drive a point home.
Yeah.
And for the adults, it's honestly holding them as accountable as possible, keeping peace on the bench, just shooting those reminders, making lineup changes. And also at the end of the day, when you're coaching pro, you have to know sometimes when to just shut the hell up. You know, as a coach, you just have to, because if you're in people's ear, your voice can get old as a professional coach. When with adults, I don't care how old, with kids, I don't care how old my voice gets. If you're not getting it, you'll either sit next to me or you'll continue to hear my voice. And I think you have to time it so much better when you're coaching the pros. Because again, I played hockey up until I was 18. Health got in the way. I wasn't able to. So that became my sport, coaching, you know, and it became the way for me to keep my competitive juices going. And so it is the one thing I take more serious than anything. And so, listen, I remember a couple years ago, and I was actually smiling on the inside. Me and Garrett Ross got into it on the bench. Got into it on the bench. But that's the difference between if a kid does that to me, done. There is no, you know what I mean? So there's a respect factor that you have to have. And Garrett Ross and I respect each other tremendously. And it was after the game, love you, Georgie. End of story. You know, there just has to be the separation between a relationship as a coach and a player, and then as two friends off the rink. You have to know how to separate those two, because both of you have the team's best interest at heart. And if you disagree, and as passionate as you are, you're going to battle. And the battle, fortunately, has gotten us a ton of wins over the last few years. So, and these guys, I love these guys to death, every single one of my players, you know. And the great thing about it is I consider them all family. And so I bicker at my family. So it happens on the bench. It happens between each other. And I think that's part of it. It's like, yo, if two guys are going at it on the bench because they disagree with something, like, yo, boys, chill out. Let's you got to play either peacemaker, or you've got to tell one they're wrong and the other, you know what I mean? So it's that battle there. Like, it's totally different coaching pros than kids. You know what I mean? And I think as you grow in the sport, you find those little moments that you can actually make a difference, you know? And so, like, for kids, you're going to say a lot more. When they get to that junior D1 age, you're still going to hold them accountable. But I think it's more as a motivator. And then as a pro, it's that motivator, but also just small reminders. And I think as they get older, it's been easier for me to make that adjustment when I'm coaching teams.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, when you're talking to a kid, right, you can be like, listen, if you want to get better and you want to get to whether your aspirations are pro or double A or whatever it is, like, if you don't do these things, you're not gonna grow as a player.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And if you have a shit attitude, no one's gonna want you on their team.
And that's the thing. And I think that you bring up a good point. It's all about the attitude for me for kids as well. Like I'm always telling kids, listen, I want you to be at points as nasty on the rink as you can, because one thing and this is going to sound so bad, but it's just real. And you can ask Trefty about this. I would grab Trefty on our bench when we were coaching, and I'll be like, why is he doing that? Because I have to have players, and probably it's my acting side, that you have to have this range of emotions. Like, there has to be points in a game you have to be completely nasty. Never dirty, but completely nasty. And then other points in the game where you just have to turn the other cheek. You know what I mean? But it depends on the timing of the game. It depends on all of that. But one thing I never want to have is a soft player. That would bother me completely. And so I always tell the kids, like, if I see you shy away from a corner or a board battle, the only board you will be around is the one on the other side of the bench. Because I can't do that. And I think that's the one thing I try to instill in all these kids. Like, there's moments for everything within a game. You know, everything's not about being nasty and trash talking and just being a jerk on the rink. But there's a difference between being, and I don't know what I can say on the podcast, but there's a difference between being
anything you want.
There's a difference between being a huge asshole and just being a beast on the rink.
Yeah.
I'll take a beast any day. If you're just an asshole, you're probably trying to hide other shit that you just can't do on the rink.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
If you are a beast and a damn good player and at being a beast, great. But if you're just an asshole when things are frustrating for you, those are the type of players I can't deal with. I just can't deal with those type of players.
And there's a time and a place to be like for instance, like just a few years ago, playing against some young kids, right? And they were just jawing and they were like doing some dirty shit, right? And I just took one of them and I just put him into the board and I said, cut the shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I got a penalty for it, but I'm like, that was like, had to. Like, that kid needed, like, I'm not going to sit there and throw hands with a kid. I'm not going to just throw hands in general because it doesn't do anything for the game, for one.
Oh, for sure.
And it makes me look like the bigger asshole if I just start throwing punches. But if I throw them against the boards and I'm like, listen, chill out.
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, and there's guys in the pros that do it to, like, you know, I know a bunch of these older guys that are like late 20s and like in their 30s that have been playing for a while. And these young kids that are coming into the pro scene, they just get pissed off because all the shit they do and say.
Dude, I think that's where I think a reverse hit really kind of comes in very handy. If someone's like getting a little bit too chippy, sticking you a lot, and they just keep getting on you, just, you know, I have the puck. Come get it.
Yeah.
Let them have it.
One thing my team has done a great, and maybe I don't see it a lot, but my team has done a great job of, is we stay away from the retaliatory penalties just because those are the most undisciplined ones.
Yeah.
And our team is a very physical team. And I coach a bunch of beasts. Our team is a physical team. I'm not calling anything out, but if there is a goal anybody should watch, it is that overtime goal against Black Ice. And just watch Jess Hackett in front of the net during that goal. He's the unsung hero on that goal, because if you watch Jess Hackett, that is battle. And I'm not taking credit for this, but that is the way I've coached Hackett since he was a 16U. You know what I mean? And if you watch him on that goal, I remember Jess Hackett, we're on a trip up to Canada. We were playing in the GLI, the Great Lakes International League. It was like a little D1 league for like Kitchener, Buffalo had a team, Oakville had a team. And he looked at me, we're on this ride up to Canada. He said, you know, you're a hard guy to play for. And I thought about it. And I looked at him, I said, good. But I said, is it fun? He said, yeah, when we win. I'm like, okay, because losing's not fun.
Yeah.
You know? And so what I've found is that as a coach and as a teacher, I've directed musicals. You can treat everybody fairly, but you cannot treat everybody the same.
Yeah.
And that's when you coach men, it is huge to know that everyone's going to have a trigger There's going to be certain ways you need to talk to certain people, and some people want you to talk to them certain ways. And you have to find those ways. As a coach, it's your job to find that from every single player. And what's their trigger, what's going to make them play even harder. And if hating me during the game makes you play even harder, hate me as much as you want. You know, but everybody would know that I think I don't have anybody's individual interest in mind when I'm coaching. I've got the team's interest. So again, I'll treat everybody fairly, but I try my best to read every player that I've ever coached and not treat everybody the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be a psychologist.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and you have you have a mix of players here, right? I mean, you have Adam Ernie that's plays in the NHL, right? And then you have guys that, whether it's ECHL, AHL, or just guys that just are just purely roller hockey players.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're managing different. I think ego is probably too strong of a word because no. So you're managing different egos of guys that are personalities, right?
And the coach isn't exempt from that. You know, the players are going to deal with the coach's personality and ego, whatever that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's going to have a personality, and everybody's had to learn me. I've had to learn everybody anytime I've coached. Because I remember the first time I lost it on a 18U team, they're like, and but those same players, ask Tristan Lipinski. He's told me before, best coach I've ever had. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't treat these guys amazingly. We don't go to dinners. I don't buy them candy bars. I'm all about winning, because they're going to remember the tournament that they got a gold medal in.
Yeah.
They're going to remember the tournament that they took hardware away from. And if I'm coaching just for them, and I know it's the era of participation trophies, but if I'm coaching just to have fun, then I'm not doing my job.
Yeah.
Losing is not fun. Losing is not fun. You find somebody that has fun losing, I'll show you a loser. That is.
Ooh, I love that.
It's not fun for me. So, I do Legends for fun because I don't care who wins. I honestly don't care who wins at Legends. I do that for fun. When I'm behind the bench of a team, you best believe I care who wins. And in the moment, like I said, I'm happy for everybody. I'm not happy the minute the game ends if we're not on the winning side of it. You know what I mean? So it's just that I think somebody would be lying to you if they told you there weren't egos on the bench, if there weren't personalities on the bench that you have to try and maneuver around and get everybody on the same page. And one thing I think my guys are great with now is the fact that everybody wants to be on that rink all the time. But everybody knows that there's certain positions that they're going to be on for, and there's certain positions that they're not, even if you want to be on the entire time. I mean, people are going to have to take a step back and look at it this year, because last year we won without probably one of, if not the best player in roller, especially at this time, Garrett Ross. We didn't have him almost all year last year.
Yeah.
And we're getting him back. So he steps right back into his role, and everybody's got to have that team first mentality, and so I think that's going to be important. That's going to be extremely important going forward for our team.
Well, Ken Mace is in the chat, and he says that he has to tell people to go to Legends, especially if they want to, because he says that he's got guys that reach out to him all the time to hey, can I play for BNF for pro? And he said, go to Legends, go play in that division, go play in the top tier division, and see if you can compete.
Yeah, and it's great that you bring that up, because of the fact that every single player in Legends, the only pro players that usually have pro experience are captains. Everyone else, this is your opportunity to play with those pro players to try to get yourself ready to play at that level, or to see if you can compete at that level. And some players I know have left that tournament and said, all right, that was a little bit too much for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at least and there's a lot of kids who just want the opportunity, so it's been great.
Yeah. I mean, to play with, or, to be drafted by whatever pro player would be a cool experience.
Yeah, and honestly, and I don't remember what it was, but last year, and it just happened so fast. One thing I don't know how to police, but there's some players that there's some captains that'll take their friends who probably shouldn't be in tier one, but they'll take their friends in the draft. And there's a way to police that, because I'll even shout out a player like Corey Kosick, who's an 18U player. I believe he either got top scorer or championship game MVP. Never played pro before, but got with guys like all the big names playing. He got championship game MVP or top scorer. It was one of them, Corey Kosick, and he's an 18U player. Listen, that is a beast of a player. But you find the diamonds in the rough at that time.
Yeah.
And if somebody is looking for a pro player and you go check the legend stats and see this kid at the top, you might have found somebody, you know what I mean? Somebody who might not have ever gotten the chance because you got to enter teams into the other tournaments,
Yeah,
Well-
so we should just say it flat out. Legends is a great place to prospect players and to try to make moves if you're trying to make moves.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
gain Instagram followers. Like, you'll get so many new friends. Like, so many new friends at Legends. Like, it's such an awesome experience. Like, I had one of the moms from California come out, and she gained about 3 or 4 friends just at the tournament because her son was playing with kids that now they're all rooting for the same team, which they've never done before. So it's just a great Legends is a great time.
You know what I like to see is when you posted, it was the all-time stat leaders or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, these guys have competed in this many tournaments.
Yeah,
And
we have our medal count up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Medal count. Yeah. And I think it was, I was like, holy crap, there's like all these guys that are going there all the time.
It's great because I'll be honest, once you get a taste of Legends, you'll want to come back every year. And I'm not just saying that because it's mine. I mean, part of it is, but I am honestly saying I have some of and I have to work my ass off. Like, the work I do for Legends and tours, I work my ass off, and I have a blast at both events. But man, when I'm at Legends, it's just so chill. It's just so chill because people are interested in, and this is the selfish side of it, but a lot of people and parents are interested in their one player they brought.
Yeah.
On the team side of the other events, they're interested in a whole team. So you might get a coach fighting for 10, 12 players, when if I talk to a parent at Legend, it's one. So it's totally different. Just the concept is so cool because you just have a different feel when you're at Legends from the other 3. And listen, the other 3 are growing too. I think roller hockey is the cool thing again.
Yeah.
And so I love it. And when I'm looking at TORHS registrations coming in and seeing how TORHS has grown, and it's phenomenal to be able to be a part of everything, whether it's coaching, working, announcing, whatever it is. It's just, I always look forward to summer because of that.
Yeah. It's just, it's crazy how involved you are, right? And so, you mentioned, between coaching, running your own tournament, being part of tours, right? I'm curious on, like, how did this Car Shield roster come together? Like, how were you able to wrangle all these guys in and kind of get them on your squad?
It's a good question. It started in the COVID year, actually, because I was leaving to go on tour with the Broadway musical Once on the Island. And in March 19th, I think it was, we were in Vegas and we got the call that we were being sent home because there was a global pandemic starting. Nobody knew it was going to turn into what it was. They told us we're going to be off for 2 weeks and then we'll come back. That never happened. So within that, all the tournament series were trying to figure out ways to still have their events. And so I actually called up, at that time it was Ryan Perry and Corey Hodge running. What they were going to do was, I think it was Rink Rat Detroit or Rinkster Detroit, whatever it was at that time. And so they were going to do it. And they had asked me prior to it if I was available to coach, but I couldn't leave my excitement guys behind. I had to unfortunately tell the excitement guys that I can't do this right this year because of the fact that I was taking the show. Then I'm in the midst, I realize the show's not happening, and I'm like, can I build this team back up again? But I reach out to Perry and I'm like, let me just see what they're doing. They had a whole team already, basically almost a whole team. And I asked Perry, I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing this summer? And he's like, we've got this Rink Rat Michigan thing going on. And his next phrase was, why, you want to coach? And I'm like, well, hold on. I don't know. And so we had conversations, and I said, if I'm going to do that, there are a couple players that I have to have on my team that have played for Excitement forever, never left me, even in our times when we were struggling. And those two players at that time were Hackett and Okada. And if I'm forgetting anybody, charge it to my head, not my heart, because I'm just going with the guys that are still on the team. And Perry and Hodge said, let me talk to the guys. And they had room, and that's where it all came together. And so I got a call from Garrett Ross after that. He's like, it's about damn time, Georgie. We've been trying to, because I was asking Ross and Barry years ago when they were playing for FTB, like in 18s. I was asking them when they were going to be available and all that. And then for it to just come full circle, it just happened during the COVID year because I didn't want to build a whole team, but I had guys that still wanted to play. And then I reached out to Perry and Hodge, and I was just looking for a spot for my guys. My intention was not to coach. And when Perry asked me that, and then Hodgie backed it up, I was like, why not? And I mean, these guys are like family to me anyways. So I'm like, why not? And that's actually how it came together, because I thought I was completely going to be out of coaching. And then COVID happened. Hockey kept going. Musical Broadway did not. And so there I was.
Dragged you right back in.
Right back in. They had a going away thing for me at TORHS and everything. And then here I walk back in at Nationals again.
I mean, now you have Barry, Perry, Ernie, O'Shaughnessy, Hodge, Hackett, Okada, Ross. I mean, it's a rather stacked roster, if you ask me.
It is. I mean, I'm blessed. I am blessed to have a roster like that because of the fact, like I said, it makes the job. At the same time, it may be hard because sometimes you don't want to make the wrong decision, but at the same time, it just makes my job. Sometimes I get caught up in having the best seat in the building. Like I'm just there watching them. You know what I mean? And it's just dope to have that.
Well, I think sometimes, and especially in my experience as a player, a coach being there is almost like having like a lucky charm. You know, just the vibe of them being there can just bring the team up. So, you know, like you were saying earlier, it's not always about what you say. Sometimes it's about when you don't say anything.
Absolutely. And I want to make sure that I pick those points and pick those moments that are right to say. And it's about motivation too, you know? Like if somebody's having a tough game, it's about motivating them. It's about motivating the team. It's all about that. You're not going to treat any pro like you would the kids, but you have to know the moments to say something, to chime in, to be like, no, that was fucked up. We need to do it this way. You know what I mean? Just those moments. But you also don't want to be that guy that's always going. You know what I mean? That's just, to me as a coach, that's just, I think pros would get annoyed by that.
Yeah.
You know?
You're kind of their mental reminder, like, you know, when they have a lapse, you're like, hey, look over your shoulder, or hey, make sure you're here, right? And, you know, it's...
Or, hey, I know you hate that guy, but you still got to pass.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I remember we were playing Black Ice in the final once or a semifinal once, and I went to Ernie. I'm like, Ernie, they're doubling you every time. And he's like, all right, Georgie, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, actually, I don't fucking know yet. I just wanted to play. So I'm in the midst of the game, I'm trying to figure that out. And then you're like, then you take a look at and you learn in these things.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so if this happens next time, this is what we're going to do. And I'll tell you one thing, having Garrett Ross, even though he wasn't playing last year, on the bench last year was huge for us as well. You know what I mean? So I just think we have these conversations after every State Wars game last year. We started this, me, Perry, and Haji started this meeting that we have, and it wasn't just after State Wars. We started it like a year ago. After every game, we meet for like 10 minutes to discuss. And with the roster we had at State Wars, that's where the decision was made to move Hackett up to forward instead of D. And he was the top scorer in the playoffs at State Wars.
Yeah.
You know, so just those decisions. And I think as when you're leading men, there can't be a dictatorship either. Like when I put my roster together for younger kids, this is what it is. This is where you're going to play. This is how it's going to be. When you're running a team of men, it's like, all right, guys, let me know what you're thinking, and I'll let you know if that works or not. Or, hey, no reason to even add me in here. Just do your thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if there's something that I'm really not banging with, I'm like, no, I can't get with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we have that relationship. We have that working relationship that everybody respects each other's opinion, even if you don't agree with it. So I think that's huge in our with our team.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely when you have the respect for each other, and then you're able to, you know, as yourself, right? You're able to gauge kind of like when you're needed and when you're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is, I mean, that is where a lot of coaches, I think, struggle too, right? Is like, hey, you know, because most of them want to be that dictator. Most of them want to keep telling people in the team, like, this is how it has to go.
For sure.
But as coaching adults, you know, you have to realize, yeah, I need to step back. This is not my time. You know, you're adults. You can figure it out. If I have an idea, I'll run it by you.
There you go. That's absolutely it.
You said that you ran theater productions?
Yeah, so I've directed some theater productions, like the high school I used to teach at. I was gone for a while, and they asked me to come back and help direct a show. And it's like coaching for theater, honestly, when you're directing a show. You know what I mean?
What's harder there?
Honestly, with kids, it's not hard at all. They hang on to every single word. When you have the resume, like I've been on tour before, and to come back to Buffalo and see these high school kids and they know what I've done, they hang on to every single word. Now, I don't know if I could do that with adults, because I know I just did a show in Buffalo last September. I did The Color Purple, which I'm going to Philly to do The Color Purple. That's why I can't do much this summer. And here in Buffalo, I had to get out of this diva mindset, because I'm like, I'm the only one in the show that's in the Actors Union, and so I had to get out. But there are so many, and I'm not calling people out, but it's just real. There's a lot of divas in acting, so I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could direct adults, because it's the same thing dealing with it. Now, if you want a place with egos, musical theater is the place, and acting is the place for that.
That's where I was trying to lead it to, is
if
you really had to direct and like a professional player, coach professional hockey, easy decision.
Easy. I would coach hockey in a second.
Yeah.
In a second. I'd rather be on stage than be directing a show. Yeah. Give me the direction. Like, yeah, I'd rather coach than play hockey. I'd rather be in the show than direct theater.
All right. So this is getting a little off task for me, but I have to ask this because it's on my mind. You said you're from Buffalo, right?
Yes.
How many tables have you jumped through?
That would be 0.
Ah.
That would be absolutely 0. I love the Bills. I'm a Bills fanatic. I'm not. If you know me, sucks to say, but my appearance is extremely important to me. I don't want any scratches, any broken bones. That's why I was a goalie. I got to wear the full face mask. Don't mess with my face. I'm that guy that it's people know that I take pride in the way I dress, the way I look. Like I don't want any scratches, and although I preach about being a beast on the rink, people call me the pretty boy, and that's fine. That is totally fine. But you will not catch me jumping through a table. I'll sing for a Bills game before I jump through a damn table.
You'll sit there on the side, clapping them on.
Yeah, hell yeah. Listen, my dad is a pastor, and he doesn't even watch games with me anymore because the way I lose my shit when the Bills lose. And I respect my parents too much to swear like that in front of them. So I watch games at home. I don't even let friends come over that much until the Bills game is over because I've lost friends over Bills games before. So can't do it. Can't do it.
Now, there is a shout out to Legends in the chat. Pamela Kennedy said that Legends is really great for kids who don't get a great shake in their area, but see what they can really do with a whole different set of kids and coaches.
Yeah, Pamela, I thank you. Pamela Kennedy, I think her son may be Tyler. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and Tyler did great this past Legends. But yeah, it's amazing because I try to set it apart where they're not getting coached by their actual coach for the summer also, because you get a different voice, play with different players. You don't want to have the same coach. Sometimes you might want to. And I also give the kids the option if their dad has signed up to coach. I give the kids and the parent the option if they want to coach their child, if the child wants to be coached by their parent. So, because sometimes they don't. So
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, good that you give them the kids the option to get out of that.
We talk about that in the draft room a lot. So,
also, if you really remember that kid's name, that is impressive.
I make it a point to make sure I can walk up to every kid at my event because you're not registering as a team. Even at TORHS, though, I try to make it a point. But there's some kids at TORHS I've never met before. But at Legends, I try to make it a point to remember, even if I don't remember a parent's first name, it's Mr. or Mrs. last name or whatever the case may be. And my staff does the same thing. It's the first time I've ever had parents before they left come up and hug each one of my staff members because my staff members are either a member of my family, like my nephew is the VP of Legends, So cool. It's either my family or it's my friends that I've employed because those are the people that I know, number one, have my best interest at heart. And there's a reason that I love and like these people. And I want the roller hockey community to know them and know that that's all Legends is about. Having fun, being part of a family, and making sure that that when you come to Legends, you're going to be treated with the utmost respect and dignity. And just to make sure that if we can learn your name, we'll do our best to do that. There was a family going through some things, and one of my employees who was running registration was like, I'm running out to get them a card real quick. And I said, all right, let's get them a t-shirt too. We never got to give it to them, but just the fact that they were going through something back home, that one of my employees said that. And that's why he's my best friend. Like he mentioned that I'm going to go out and get a card for them. And can we give them a t-shirt or something? Those are the type of people that I have on my staff. And it's not just about the hockey. So that's why I love doing Legends the way I do.
Gosh, it's great. You talk about names. I teach, and it takes me about 3 months to get these kids' names down. I'm awful with names, so I'd be the worst at that.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's also I get to cheat because I see all these registrations come through as individuals. Sure. They've played year after year, and I know their parents too. So I just try to put the first name with the last name when I'm reading it off or whatever. So I get to cheat too. But there are a lot of people that my staff knows by name just because of the fact that there will be parents that will stick around merch or registration and talk about life with my workers. And the great thing about it is I have people working for me that might not have ever attended a hockey event ever because I have Nick Smolinski, Evil, Wilfredo, all of those people know the hockey stuff. My merch people and my registration person may not, but they're just damn good people.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to employ, and that's what I want around Legends.
Very cool.
I mean, I got to give a shout out to Fredo because he's the man.
Oh, my God. Fredo is awesome. Fredo is awesome. And he's just an awesome person. My family and my friends have fallen in love with him, too. And they ask every year, yo, is Fredo coming back? And I said I wouldn't do Legends without him.
The man's at every tournament. So if
He
he's
is.
not at one, it's probably because he's over touring Europe or something like he did.
Right, like for 27 days. Like,
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's great. It's great to hear that you build those relationships because I mean that's like half the battle, right? People will come and continue to participate in your tournament if they know that one, you're a good guy, and two, you're presenting a good product.
absolutely. And my thing is, even when a parent's struggling or may have, I try to lead with grace because you never know what they're going through that day. And I try to, if people are upset, which not a lot of people are upset at Legends, it's just a happy place. And I'm not trying to make it seem like, but it definitely, it just is.
Yeah.
But I always try to lead with grace. You never know what somebody's going through. Like, a lot of people don't even know my story getting into hockey. Like, some people may even think that, how was he coaching hockey and he never played? Well, I'm pretty sure Ken Hitchcock never did, but he was a great hockey coach. I got to play until I was 16, and then I had seizures out of nowhere. I had 2 in 1 week and was on medication for it. Tried to go back and play sports. I was quarterback for a high school football team. I was playing hockey for high school, then got in a roller, and Mama Brown was like, yeah, you're done playing sports. Like, absolutely done, because the look on her face, I'm not going to talk about it a lot because I start crying when I talk about it, but the look on her face when they called her and said, hey, George just stopped breathing and he passed out, look on her face when she got to the hospital was, and I'm a mama's boy, was just something I never want to see again.
Yeah.
And then my next seizure happened in front of her at home. And my jaw locks. She tried to put her finger down my throat because I wasn't breathing. Jaw locked, broke her finger. We're both getting treated in the hospital. And so it was just going through that. And then my mom pulled me out of sports, but it was a blessing in disguise. It opened up my career because I started acting then, started coaching. Then that's where Legends and all of this came from, because I was playing with my friends in like roller hockey leagues and stuff, but I was never as competitive as I was after having the seizures. So I played hockey. I got to play hockey, and then I just needed to be competitive. So I started coaching. But then that's where the musical theater started, because I got the lead role in the musical in my junior year of high school, the year after I couldn't play any more sports. So God has a plan for everything, and that was the plan he had for me. Unfortunately, it took seizures that they never found a reason for, but it took me out of sports, but it got me to coach some of the best guys in the sport. It got me to perform on tour with some of the best actors I've ever been around. It got me to meet. I practiced my autographs since 5th grade. I'm signing autographs in different cities on tour. So no matter what struggles I've gone through, I'm a very religious person too. And I think God gives his toughest battles to the strongest soldiers. And he must have thought I was damn strong when I was 16, because I had some battles. But that's how I got into it, because my health got in the way for me playing sports. But I thank God every day that he's given me the life that he's given me, because I'm extremely happy in it.
Good.
Yeah, I mean,
That's beautiful.
Absolutely. Now,
appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely very personal. So,
for sure.
Now, you've mentioned TORHS a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, involvement with TORHS, how did that happen? And kind of like,
it was like right after getting out of the sport, I was just scorekeeping at the Amherst Pepsi Center when TORHS came through for a regional. This is when Buffalo had a big roller hockey community. We had youth teams, and the Buffalo Wings were around, and Ontario had a lot of teams. They'd come down and play. Some Detroit teams would come over, and I was scorekeeping the tournament. And in scorekeeping, I was announcing as well. And they asked if I would come to a national. I went to a national, score, kept my brains off, and was announcing, and Tony TORHS fell in love with me. I became their head announcer. The next year, they asked me to come to a regional in Batavia, New York, which is about 45 minutes outside of Buffalo. That's how big roller hockey was. People probably don't even know where Batavia is. But Rochester was even huge. We had the ESL Center at TORHS National once. Oh, yeah. And I was working. Then he asked me to come referee a tournament. Realized I never wanted to do that again, because parents at times can be crazy, just like the players. And so I actually went out and helped him in a tournament. Didn't want to ref, but John Gellerman asked me to come and work a tournament. I guess my parents have instilled an amazing work ethic in me. And so even through scorekeeping, I think TORHS saw my work ethic, and so they hired me. John had to leave for another job. They promoted me immediately to their national director. It all started as a scorekeeper for TORHS back in, I think I did the event in probably 2000. I graduated high school in 01. First year of college, I was on the road with TORHS. So I've been working with them since 2001, and now I'm their guy right under the owners. So that's how that all started, as a scorekeeper. So
Wow.
yeah. So if you're flipping fries at McDonald's, you can be the GM of McDonald's one day. You never know.
Never know. Hey, there you go.
I think that when you're calling games and doing commentary and everything, I think that's a really interesting combination of your love of performing arts and hockey. It's such a good synergy. It just kind of sparked in my head of how like perfect that is, because you need to have that energy and that personality and the ability to like let it out.
You don't want anybody to be bored watching you.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want anybody to be bored watching you. Like, and listen, even if you're an OnlyFans creator, you don't want anybody to be bored watching you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So whether it's OnlyFans, whether it's broadcasting, freaking watching mud dry, whatever it is, you just want to be entertaining. And I think, and listen, some people, I know there are some people who turn on that broadcast and they're like, all right, enough, George. Well, listen, if Timmy from State Wars is not saying that, who signs my check, if TORHS with Joe and Ron are not saying that they don't want my personality the way it is when I'm talking to parents, then I'm doing the job that I need to do.
Yeah.
And so when I'm broadcasting those games, I try to picture myself watching this game. And I know some of the stuff me and Trefty talk about, we have people dying. That one time when we saw Tommy Tartaglione skating off the delayed penalty, and we replayed it like 15 times, people have sent me that clip every single year because it was one of the funniest moments in roller hockey ever. Yeah. And so that's what I want. I want to have fun on the broadcast because, listen, there are serious moments, right? There's serious moments in everything. But if you can have a blast watching these games, and sometimes, like, I know, like, when I'm watching basketball, sometimes I chime in for the NBA on TNT show with Barkley and Shaq and Kenny, all of those guys. I like the pregame show more than I do the basketball game.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so if you can tune in, and if me and Trefty can make more people watch roller hockey because of the stuff we talk about, even if it's real life stuff, and we can grow the sport that way. You know, if one person just turns us on because they want to watch their friend and they see how much fun we're having on the broadcast and that gets them into the sport, then we've done our job.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned, the TNT broadcast. Can we get a video of you pushing Trefty into a Christmas tree?
You know what? I think that needs to happen. I would love it. I don't think Bailey, his wife, would love it as much, but I know the roller hockey community would probably love it.
I think replaying that in the roller hockey world would be great, because that's my one big memory that I can know from that TNT broadcast. And I don't watch much basketball because I don't know. I just don't like where the sport has gone.
No, I get it. I don't watch much basketball either, but you best believe I'll watch that pre and post game show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
you were talking about that being one of the greatest moments, like entertainment moments of roller.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. And I wanted to ask you earlier when you were talking about coaching more, is there any like specific moment that kind of holds a specific place in your heart that like when you think about coaching or even commentating, that just like the first story that pops in your head?
First story that pops in my head would probably be the triple overtime game that we played in Narch. I don't remember what year it was, but it may have been the last year at Silver Creek Sportsplex, or the year that Darren had like over 400 teams at Silver Creek. I had my junior gold team. We made it to the final and played. It was Excitement versus Team X. Team X was out of California. I still have all the pictures. Zach Whitty scored the overtime goal in triple overtime. Rich Call, and I love Rich Call, but he's got to be like 95 years old by now, and he just retired reffing.
Oh, yeah, the ref. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We tried to get him on.
Yeah, such a great guy, but he was reffing that game. and I have all the pictures still from that game on my phone. And it was one of the best games I've ever been a part of. Like, to have those guys, I had dads that were coming in because those guys were going to play 18s later. I had dads that got in during our game at the San Jose airport, made it to our game in time to watch the third overtime. That's how long the game was. And I would say that pops into my head. And then probably in either, whether it was 16U, I think 16U Platinum one year at Narch, when we beat Jay Miro. Nobody expected us to. Jay's team was supposed to wipe the floor with everybody, and we beat Black Ice that year. I remember KJ Tiffenworth told me, because I think I ran past him off the bench. He said, "I remember, Georgie, if I didn't love you, I remember I had my stick. I just wanted to slash your legs." I was like, because I jumped off the boards. And so the big wins like that, and then, of course, my first pro win ever. Those would be the three moments I remember the most. And that would be the TORHS pro win. That one was, even though State Wars is the pinnacle right now of professional roller hockey, the one that sticks in my head the most was the first time I won, because to see the guys that I've been coaching forever or I've known forever, it was better to see them enjoy that moment. It's always better for me to see the kids and the players I coach enjoy it more than I do. And I know they enjoy it more than I do. Not that I don't enjoy winning, but I just enjoy seeing them happy more than I do enjoy the championship.
Heck yeah.
Now, coaching, right? Is there like a do you do like a pregame speech or a pregame chat with the team before you guys leave the locker room, or
Before this last State Wars, I did, but on the run we were on, I stayed out of the locker room because I was getting so late. I was having them come out closer to warm-ups because I was coming from a broadcast, and so I stayed out of the locker room, did all my stuff right on the bench beforehand. There's probably a line or two I plan to tell the guys right before the game to try to get them pumped up. And I remember Steve Oleksy looked at me after I said one of the lines, and he's like, "Who the fuck wouldn't want to play for you, Georgie?" Like, I'm like, so it's just a good feeling to have guys like that. There are sometimes I'm like, there's one game in specific. I won't say what game or who it was against, but roller hockey is about slowing it down. And I'm like, yo, this game will probably be the one game this tournament I want us to, the minute we get the puck, it's go, go, go. And I'm not going to say what team it was against, because we'll use that same strategy against them again. But it's just, there doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot, because I now have the team where I'm not coaching against specific teams, because I have the team now with the talent. Like, if we play our game, there's probably no one beating us. You know what I mean? So the only team that will probably beat us is ourselves. So there's not a lot that I have to say now. If I was coaching my excitement teams back then, there'd be very specific locker room talks that I would have. Now there's not. The guys usually take ownership of it themselves, and the most I have to do is call out the next line or remind them of something that they talked about previously. So yeah.
Actually, Ken, excuse me, Ken in the chat brings up a good point. You guys talk about jerseys a lot on the broadcast, and he said that the only thing he cares about when you're on the broadcast is if his jerseys live up to your hype.
You know what? And I think that was a Trefty thing, because Trefty's a design guy. Trefty does, he designs jerseys, you know what I mean? And so it was a Trefty thing. But I think we hit it from two different points. I'm all about colorful, and I'm all about pizzazz and how it pops. Trefty's like, well, no, the lines here. I'm like, I don't give a damn about the lines, where they're placed. If it makes me say, yo, that shit's dope, I'm going to put the jersey at the top of the list. You know what I mean? So.
All right, top 3 jerseys right now. Can you think about
man. It's tough, but I'd say top 3 jerseys right now. Man, Palma Golds, Border Cats, because orange and blue is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Orange and blue is one of my favorite combinations ever. I had my choir, and our last time we recorded a CD, the girls had white blouses, orange dresses. The guys had blue suits, orange tie, orange socks, blue pants. It was a beast. So when the Border Cats came out with that, loved it. And then I would have to. I mean, the third is a tough one, and I'm going to change that Palma Gold. The Palma Reds are really what get it for me. And then I'm not going to pick a third because I would say Car Shield, even though I don't agree. But that's where I'm going to put in my third slot. So,
heck yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate your honesty.
No doubt, no doubt.
I always like a nice little, new fresh threads from some teams. We've talked about pinstripes. I do like, me personally. There's not many pinstripes that I like, but the Roadrunners
GCU.
pinstripes
They are good.
Roadrunners is nice.
Good.
GCU is nice, but yeah, it's but there's a lot of people coming out with pinstripes that I just don't agree with.
No, I get it. I'll be honest. One of my favorite jerseys ever is when we were, I think, Tour Excitement. I've got to find those for you guys. Those jerseys, man, oh man. We've been Tour Excitement, Alkali Excitement, Envious Excitement. I was in the sport at that time just looking for something to hang on to.
Now, how do you choose your themes for Legends, since we're talking about jerseys?
I wanted to ask that.
Honestly, it started as, since it was Legends, Tim Turner the first year said Legends of the Hidden Temple. I'm like, okay, go with it. I wasn't going to be around, and it was great for the first year. After that, I needed to, the way I love the pizzazz and the pop of jerseys, I needed to find colors that would pop on every jersey. And so it used to be me and Tim talking about things, and now that I have my nephew involved, he just graduated college, he just visited, Micah Brown is his name. He just visited Minnesota State. He's in the transfer portal because he graduated from Stonehill, and Minnesota State gave him an offer. So he's out there today. But he started to come up with all the themes now because he's at that age where the cool kids are, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I had my idea for next year, but it was so hard. Now that we're getting bigger, I reach out and try to get these permissions, but I couldn't get the one I wanted for next year. And so he came out with this idea a few months ago, and I just brushed it off because I didn't think we'd be able to get it. And we did. And I'll be honest, the first couple of years I didn't go after it, and then people were telling me, like, you probably should be a little careful with these logos and stuff. I'm like, okay, well, since we got bigger, let me do that then. But it's honestly, now I have my ideas. I have them in a note on my phone, a ton of ideas for the next few years. But sometimes they just, and you look for the things that would give you a bunch of color options. Yeah. Because the adults don't get home and away jerseys. You have to have color options so none of them clash in a game. And so it's honestly just brainstorming. And now that my nephew's involved, he said one thing at our opening dinner, and everybody was like, that's it for next year. And so when it comes out, when we announce it, Scooby-Doo's for winter, but when we announce summer, just know it was not my initial idea, because my initial idea was what we'll probably do 2 years later. I don't know if year 10 we're going to just do all the best of the best, but my idea, it'll still take some time to get the right permissions for it. But just know it was my nephew's idea for 2025, and it's a damn good one. Legends will look really, really dope in 2025.
I was curious on like the permission, because I mean, you are using some like top logos for some big shows and stuff like that, so it's definitely nice to hear that you're just not like, screw it, let's see what happens.
That's what I would have done.
No, there are some we do that with, if it's not too big, and like the RHI idea, the Roller Hockey International, when we did Pro Beach Hockey, we didn't reach out for permissions for those. You know what I mean? Just because of the fact that it's like, who would you go to? And so we took the chance. Like there's still some things in the future we might take a chance, but there's some things that's like, can't chance that one. Like, for example, people want us to do Disney. We'll never do Disney.
No,
Yeah,
they won't
Disney
let
would
you.
never
Yeah.
let that happen.
If there is one person, Disney probably has spies everywhere.
Oh yeah.
We will not take a chance on
Yeah.
Disney ever. So if you
Dude.
have the idea of Disney, please get it out of your head, because that is one idea we'll never do.
One
Yeah,
that just popped
Disney's
in my
brutal.
head. One that just popped in my head. I was like, yeah, maybe they do Friends.
Yeah,
my
I don't think
God,
we'll
what?
ever do that either. Probably not.
But you're thinking
Scratch that one off too, Dan.
I don't know, but then just popped in my head. I was like, there's not much color that you can do with that. I mean, you know,
You can do like sitcoms, like if Friends was one, if Cosby Show was another, if Golden Girls, you could do that. But
Oh, I
Sex
want
and
to
the
be
City.
Team Golden Girls.
right. It's my favorite show of all time. Then you just got a bunch of white and black people on jerseys. It's like, what are you gonna do? I mean,
yeah. Well, then you gotta do Sex in the City, right? And then
It's just a pink jersey.
right. See, that'd be dope. But we'll stick to the one character on a jersey.
Yeah, agreed.
Let me tell you this: if we did a Golden Girls jersey and got permission to do that, oh, we'd be millionaires. That thing would sell like crazy.
I mean, you could always do serial killers.
Oh, the Kill Squad.
We've had a Halloween idea, but we never held a Halloween tournament, and we're gonna do scary movies.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Like Freddy Krueger, Halloween, and we
Yeah.
may just pop up. We may just pop up with a Halloween tournament one year and just do adults only, because kids are all in ice. Just maybe do an adults only one somewhere and just pump like a Halloween one out and just do a small one, like 3 tiers, 5 teams in each, just to get the idea out there. It'll be a cool one. So
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
yeah.
I'm thinking of a million things, but I don't even want to say it. I'm leaving that to you.
Everybody thinks of them, but I'm gonna tell you this: I guarantee the one we're gonna do next year probably went through your head already.
Okay.
Okay. I don't want to say it because I know you want to keep it a secret, and I'm afraid you would react if I said it out loud. But it makes me think that it might be my childhood dream. But we'll see.
You might
Now-
be close.
That's so. Yeah.
Now, George, the question is, do you have to wait for his rookie contract to be up in order to poach him to play with Ernie and all you guys on Car Shield? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Bedard?
You know what the funny thing is? I wouldn't even know how to contact him. Number one, that would probably be a complete Ernie thing.
Canadian Roller Hockey Group.
Okay. Listen. If you're watching, Connor, from the only black head coach in pro right now, I would tell you, we got a spot for you, my guy.
Okay.
If all of a sudden I found out Bedard was watching this, I'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, right.
When you said that, I was like, "Probably not," but I mean,
Who
I
knows?
appreciate it.
Who knows?
I got to keep pumping it up because one of these days I'm hoping it happens. Right? Maybe not this year. As I said, I think he's got to get through his rookie contract. Then he can do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
We'll make a montage of all the times you talked about him on the show and put it on.
it's about almost every episode now. Because
Yeah.
I try.
It'll get around and it'll get back to him at some point.
Like I said,
Just
I
trying
tried
to goad him into it.
Yeah, I tried pumping him up to get him to tagging him and putting him into Wish Cup at first, but then the Canadian Roller Hockey Group was like, no. It's like, okay, guys.
I love it.
He can go back and play NSIHL, but he, it's not allowed to play in the tournament series.
We'll get him. We'll get him one day. We'll get him.
We'd
So
see
just
a boom in roller.
Yeah. Just stick Ernie after him.
Right, exactly.
Tell Ernie to pin him in the corner or pin him in a corner of just like catch him in a hotel and just be like, tell him to threaten him. You're going to play for Car Shield.
Right now. Let's
Jesus.
go.
Yeah. Oh, man. Now,
What else you got for him, Dan?
well, we got the final prediction for State Wars play-ins, right?
Yeah. Which is, I think, a cool concept.
Absolutely.
So it gives those teams a chance, man. I love it.
Yeah, and I like because I think at one point, was it 14 teams or something like that, 12 or 14 teams. And, a lot of the pro guys we've had on here, they want quality over quantity. and completely understand, right? You want to play the best game. And so I think this play-in fixes a lot of it. And so, you take, I think it was the top 8 from the top 8 from last year automatically make it in, right? Which actually makes round robin and playoffs that much more important.
No, it really does, because you want to get that spot for the following year.
Yeah, you want the auto bid, right? So, you have 8 teams here, and there's some new teams, and there's some like 2.0s, I guess you could say, because I mean, you have Unified Conics Black Ice 2.0, right? You have Car Shield Blast, which is just another variant of Car Shield. I'm assuming they're younger.
Yeah.
Champion Wheelers, they got a roster of about, I don't know, 50 guys. You got the Blood and Feathers. You got Rinkster Propel, who has been around for the past year or so. You got Skittles, who just unfortunate that they kind of got relegated, because I love watching them.
Yeah.
You got Sweden, who did not have a good year last year. And you have Team Chemistry. So what 2 do you have coming out of this play-in that's going to have a very long weekend ahead of them?
So if I had to, I'll talk about 3 real quick.
Okay.
First off, I'm not going to talk about them long, but Skittles is at the top of that list. They're a pro team. They just didn't make the playoffs last year, but Skittles is going to be the class of that division, that play-in. So that's one team in. Any team coached by Jason Muro goes to the top of my list also, even if they're young. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, because they may be too young and too inexperienced. But there's the Propel team that I think would really have a chance. Blood and Feathers actually surprises people too. So if there's a top 4, I'm probably going Skittles, Blood and Feathers, Propel, and Black Ice. Can you read me the teams again, just so I make sure I'm not leaving out anybody?
You got Chemistry, you got Sweden, and Champion Wheelers and Car Shield Blast, and Black Ice 2.0, Wheelers, Propel.
Okay, I'm gonna put Car Shield Blast above Blood and Feathers. Then, if I'm doing a Final 4, it's Car Shield Blast, Black Ice 2.0. It is Propel MG, and it is Skittles. And I think the 2 teams that come out of that are probably going to end up being Skittles. And I'm not saying this because they're a part of our family, but there's just some really talented kids on that Car Shield Blast team. It's just so hard, because I'm going against all that talent, and I'm going against Jason Muro on Black Ice, and then Propel MG has some good talented kids. But if I'm picking, I'm probably taking Car Shield Blast and Skittles in those 2.
Now, okay.
I like it.
Yeah. Do you think experience on something of a big stage like this plays a part in potentially teams moving on?
Not in the play-in style.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the experience. I think the experience definitely helps going into the playoffs of actual Palma Pro. But when it's something like this, you're guaranteed to play the rest of the weekend, because if you don't make it, you're going to be in a tier 2.
Yeah.
So it's not lose or go home. Everybody wants to be up in the Palma Pro division, but I don't think experience, and I think a lot of these teams playing, other than Skittles, and I don't know who was on Chemistry's roster, but other than Skittles, I don't know of a lot of experience at the Palma Pro level that any of these teams might have. So I don't think it's going to be a huge factor in playing style like this.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I am with you. I think Skittles is just out of the 8 is just kind of the upper echelon of all of them, right?
Yeah.
They have, not only do they have the experience they've been playing the past couple of years, they kind of went through, and I always say this, is they went through the kind of Roadrunners phase where they just got the shit kicked out of them until they figured it out.
And just like the Roadrunners, even though they've been around a lot, Skittles and the Roadrunners are 2 of the youngest teams.
Yeah.
Still. So I mean, they're each coming into their own, and you got players that will be entering into their prime that are still not there.
Yeah.
You know, so
Now maybe Patty Maroon playing.
I do not know that. I do not know that. Now that I wouldn't put it past him because of the simple fact that if Anthony's coming to play with the Blast team, his son, I would not put it past people having conversations right now with Pat Maroon. And because he played for the Roadrunners, I wouldn't put it past them for getting first dibs at him. So, and he won. So
Yeah, well, Halverson posted like something. I'm not sure if it was in cryptic, but he did post a picture of him, DiMartino, and Maroon in a picture on Instagram like a month and a half ago. And I was like, is this just like, hey, I'm just, because I'm in a picture with Patty Maroon and like roller season's coming up, or is this like in cryptic, like, hey, we got him back?
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting because, I mean, as a coach, I'll be watching and looking at those rosters. So, because I could have done a lot more possibly in that game against the Roadrunners too.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not the same old Roadrunners team where you can just concentrate on Patty Maroon. Like, yeah, go ahead and concentrate on Patty Maroon and then have Halverson or DiMartino or Frankie Jirac or somebody just hurt you in the long. You have to play them as a full team. They're not the same old Roadrunners that people used to play a long time ago when those kids were kids.
Yeah.
So and Patty Maroon's a smart hockey player, so he's gonna know. Listen, if everybody's concentrating on me, he's not gonna go and play with a team that doesn't have any talent on it. So yeah. We've got to come up with a plan if we have to play them again in the playoffs. So
yeah, and and Blood and Feathers is they're on the Nicky Wydock retirement tour this year, so I think there's gonna be a little extra fight from them.
I love that kid.
Yeah, he's good. He's a great guy. I love him. And so, they're looking for their first win.
Yeah.
In the pro scene. And so hopefully before PAMA comes around, they're able to get it.
Yeah.
And, they're able to set Nicky up for, a good goodbye tour. They've already told him that he gets like half a pizza when he stops playing and stuff like that. So
just half of one. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't, that apparently that's being treated well.
Wow.
So,
roller's tough.
Yeah.
And geez.
It's half a pizza and Ken's taken off the pepperonis.
Oh.
Jeez.
Makes it better then, huh?
Yeah. So, but it was all, it's all good and fun. Ken's in the chat. So Ken, when we had Wydock on the podcast, it was nothing but
chaos.
It was pure chaos.
Gotta love it.
We actually had one more question that I wanted to be able to hopefully get from you from the chat that we had a gentleman ask, what is your favorite rink that you've gotten to be part of a game at?
Oof. Favorite rink? I would say, okay, I'll do a top three.
Okay.
I will say Taylor Sportsplex, the rink in Wesley Chapel, Florida, Advent Healthcare Center Ice, or whatever it's called now. I just think the setup there with the bar, it's a great setup.
Yeah.
And then I will say, and this is going to sound so crazy, but Fort Wayne, because it has a Tim Hortons in the parking lot.
Hey. Love it.
You'd be surprised when people talk about the Fort Wayne rink. Like, people just like going there.
Yeah, it's a dope spot. Listen, Fort Wayne's a good little town. I mean, I am huge on Tim Hortons coffee, so in between broadcasts, I can run and please, bro, you can't beat it.
Hey,
we got to get you a sponsorship and maybe an endorsement deal.
Listen, that happens. I need it through my veins anyways, because I become a horrible person when I don't have my coffee.
Then you become the Film Actors Guild Madonna.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If
I get to a point in my career where they're like, asking me what I want my dressing room before every show, that'll be one of
That's
them.
it.
They're gonna ship in containers. of
Right.
Tim Hortons coffee.
Exactly.
Nice.
Oh, you could get your own Timbit, right?
Listen.
Wasn't that so? What would your Timbit be?
Birthday cake, by far.
Ooh, okay.
Sold.
Absolutely. Might go get some right when I get off this podcast right now, boys.
Well,
yeah.
George, you know, it was an honor and a pleasure having you on this podcast, man.
Guys, it's an honor.
Really
Yeah,
was.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, and send us the GoFundMe for, you know, so we can put that in the description below and we could share it out on social media. We'd love to help out with that.
I definitely
And
will.
those jerseys.
Yeah, absolutely. Send us those jerseys. But
Oh, the excitement ones.
yeah.
Gotcha. I will get that done. I'm gonna hit the gym. I'll get that done tonight.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Take your time.
if you're watching and you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. If you have not left a comment yet, please do, because we always go back and check them. If you're playing roller hockey and you're forechecking, don't look. Oh boy, don't look back. No, don't stop skating, because there's no offsides in roller hockey. I'm
Hey.
Dan Dean.
I'm Justin Wood.
George, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, man.
Offside.